Hi everyone, I want to talk today about your summary response and writing a response in general. For this assignment, the summary response, you're going to be responding to Jackie Robinson's essay, Free Minds and Hearts at Work. So what is a response? Basically, a response is just your opinion. So in this case, do you agree or disagree with Robinson's main idea in his essay, Free Minds and Hearts at Work? And if you do, why? And if you don't, why not? A response is something that you have to prove. So it's not a known fact. It's something that you need to elaborate on for people to understand. And a response is always based off of your experiences or your knowledge from your time frame, your piece of society. So your response to Robinson's essay isn't written from the perspective of someone from Robinson's time period, but rather from your time period, which is today. And all of your ideas need to be supported by examples from your life. So not biographic information about the author, not historical information about the events happening in Robinson's era, but examples from your life. The summary response assignment is going to be 2 to 3 pages, so it's a multi-paragraph essay. Usually there's an introduction, 1 or 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph. We'll go over the formatting for that in a minute. But please, as usual, read the assignment sheet carefully, and that will give you an idea of what I'm looking for, the format of your paper. And you need to have a strong thesis. So please, the thesis should come at the end of the intro paragraph or even possibly the beginning of this first body paragraph, the second paragraph of your essay. Please read the thesis statement notes folder very carefully. There are notes in that folder, but there are also some templates that you can use to construct your thesis. So feel free to use any of those templates. You also need one outside source. So as I was talking about earlier, you can use someone, that source needs to back up why you agree with Robinson or why you do not agree with Robinson. So the source could be a newspaper article. Let's say that you are disagreeing with Robinson, that people can make positive changes because you feel that when people are dealing with things like forces like addiction, it's incredibly difficult for them to make positive changes if they don't have, say, family support. You could maybe find an expert to talk to about this, and then let's say also your brother has just been struggling with an addiction for the past few years and has recently relapsed and has started drinking again, or whatever his addiction was. You could use that as, you could reference that, but it's also good to balance those personal experiences with a professional's opinion or an article that a professional has written. So again, interviews would work. If you can find an article or something that backs up what you're illustrating with your personal experience, that would be a great source also. So again, you can use a personal experience as a source, but please, if you are using a personal experience, you don't need to cite it, especially if you back it up with a professional reference. Please email me if you have questions about sources. And then because you will have an outside source and you are using an essay, you will need a reference list or a works cited list, and that will be at the end of the document. So you'll probably have at least 2 sources in that reference list, the Robinson article and then whatever your outside source is. So you'll have, again, at least 2 sources in that list. So the format, what is your paper going to look like? Basically, you'll have an introduction paragraph, and that is just a summary of Free Minds and Hearts at Work. So you will write this intro paragraph exactly like you wrote your last summary paper, except this time you're doing a summary of Robinson's essay. Your thesis statement will be at the end of the summary. And that's because you want to give your reader some background information. You don't want to just jump right into your opinion, but instead you want to give the reader a little bit of background as to why you are talking about this opinion that you have in the first place. The body paragraphs will be proving your thesis statement. And because your thesis statement is your opinion, you will not be mentioning Robinson. Probably, if you do mention him in the body paragraphs, it'll probably be very briefly. And that's because your body paragraphs are supporting your response or your ideas. So each body paragraph should start with a topic sentence that is based off of your thesis. They should also include support for the idea expressed in the topic, and this support is usually a source. And then you might have to explain this source, like how does it relate to your topic, and how does it relate to your thesis, and why are you using this source? So why is this a good example? Why, out of all the examples that you could have chosen, why have you chosen this? Make sure that you spell things out for your reader. Don't assume that they're going to make the connection that this is a good example. So you have to show them, say things very explicitly, like this example proves the diction is difficult to overcome because blah, 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 blah. And then you may need a transition, but you may not. It just depends on, your writing. It depends on your writing style. Just make sure that there is some sort of transition into the next paragraph, whether that be another body paragraph or your conclusion. Conclusions are pretty simple. A lot of people get sort of hung up writing conclusions, but they're really not that difficult because all you're doing is wrapping up your essay. So it's one paragraph. You need to recap your main idea. So restate your thesis, restate the main ideas that you're stating in the paragraphs, your body paragraphs. And then your thesis, your conclusion, you need to make sure offers a sense of finalization. Usually if you're recapping main ideas and restating your thesis statement, that in and of itself offers a sense of finality. So just try not to make it too brief because that is too abrupt of an ending. And also try not to say in conclusion in your conclusion. That's just a cliched structure. So I'd like to see you guys try to elevate your writing a little bit more and show your reader that you're concluding your paper instead of saying, in conclusion, I'm going to write about blah, blah, blah. That's all. Just to wrap things up here, please do not write a biography of Jackie Robinson. I do not want to know anything else about Jackie Robinson. I want to know what you think of Robinson's essay, Free Minds and Hearts at Work. I don't want to know about the time period that Robinson came from. I don't want to know what Robinson continued to do with his life after the major leagues. I just want to know your opinion of his essay. So again, I mentioned this earlier and I'll say it again, most papers only mention Robinson in the intro paragraph and the conclusion paragraph. So be sure you are actually responding. You'd be surprised at how many papers I get that aren't responses. So ask yourself, is this paper discussing my ideas? And are the examples I'm using supporting those ideas? So are the examples from my own experiences or from my time period? And am I talking about, are the ideas that I'm talking about relevant to me and to the time period that I live in? And that's all for now. If you guys have any questions at all, please send me an email, but there are very explicit instructions in your paper number 2 folder, the response paper folder, and I have a more detailed outline for you in that folder as well, and that'll help you sort of walk through how to set up and write your paper. Because oftentimes I find that students know, it's not that they don't know what to say, but they just don't really know how to say it. So I tried to put together a very organized outline for you to just kind of walk you through how to set up a paper. So please let me know if you have any questions, send me an email, and I look forward to reading your responses.